The fear of the future of what's going to happen is real.
Suffering doesn't produce growth. Suffering offers you an opportunity of growth.
I was constantly having to rethink what life would look like.
I currently serve as the Center Director for Ignite Refugio. It is a transitional foster care program for unaccompanied minors. I also volunteer my time as a program director for the Mariano Rivera Mentorship Program, where we serve young men of color from the ages of 16 to about 21, supplying them vocational training, mentorship, and resources.
I work for Jones Lang LaSalle, which is the second largest real estate company in the world.
I have a store called Flashbacks where we sell secondhand clothing, and been in Gainesville 35 years doing this. I went to school for what, at the time, I was good at. I was the computer nerd in Dade County, and so I came up here, I was like, I'm good at that, so I went into computer information sciences.
At 18, I had this whole plan laid out for me. If I would be able to go to college, I had a 10-year plan, what that looked like. Eventually, I saw myself moving to New York and getting into corporate America, driving a few businesses and taking care of my dad.
My family's Nigerian, and I always make a joke, but it's pretty true. If you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, if you're not one of those, you're basically a bum. If I was 18 and my definition of success was to complete medical school and become a neonatologist, I thought success was just correlated to my career and what I accomplished, as a young black woman. And I just thought, if I do this and I have a title behind my name, then I'll be respected and I'll be loved and I'll feel better about myself.
When I was graduating high school, there were a couple of scholarships that circulated around for undocumented people, but particular year they ran out. I got a letter that March where I was basically being told that the scholarship that I had applied for and I was recommended for was no longer available, and I was now on my own.
22 is when I graduated. I definitely was struggling with what I thought success was because at that point I wasn't doing medical school, and a lot of things in my personal life changed as well. I was having victories but having failures at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, it was victory but failure at the same time because I didn't know how to handle the pressure of what I was going to do next.
When I was on my third interview with a company, and he flipped open this book and he showed me where I was going to be when I was 62. I'm now 62. But at that time, I sure as hell did not want to know where I was going to be when I was 62. I was like, I'm 21, give me a chance. That's 3 times from my life.
Fear was something that was constantly fueling our ways. Fear was a consistent item in my daily life.
Fear was the driving force.
Driving force to a lot of decisions that we made.
I was afraid of loss. I was afraid of not being loved. I was afraid of not being worthy. I was afraid of not being liked.
My dad passed away in 2015, and my mom almost passed away twice, like for real, because she dealt with kidney failure, lupus, just a lot of things, health issues.
We're afraid to open new doors because we're comfortable with the old ones. And that's where losing a person really hurts, because you're looking for what they gave us. But every day in life, we are alone.
My sister had kidney problems, so we were looking for funds, fundraising, and also working towards getting a kidney transplant for her. So we had to get a large lump sum in order to get her kidney transplant going.
The fear of the future, I feel like that is like an underlying like plague in our society. All of that stems from being unsure of what tomorrow is going to be.
I remember saying, pain, I've allowed you to rule me too long, so I started seeking healing in the sense of I wasn't going to approach the pain as in, you're stopping me. You're now going to become my guide as opposed to my prison.
When I lacked direction, it doesn't necessarily mean that I didn't know where to go. I just didn't know how to get there.
I didn't have any compass, you know? Like when you don't have a compass, you don't know where you're going, like your mind is just all over. You can be focused in school and I was working, but when you have no direction, it's frustrating.
There were times in my life where I felt very exhausted and wanting to quit.
I was volunteering at the women's clinic here in Gainesville, and the director of that clinic found me crying on my lunch break, and I was just so overwhelmed because again, it was just that battle that was going on within me. Like, what am I gonna do with my life? Like, what does tomorrow look like? I had a legit fear of the future. And she gave me a picture of something that still sticks with me. I use till this day. She literally took a piece of paper and she drew a line and she said, this is how we think our life should be. And she started drawing tick marks. She's like, you're born, you're a teenager, you go through teen stuff, you go to college, you graduate, you get a good job, you get married, you're successful in your career, you have the children, you retire, and then you do this, and then you die. That's the picture that we have in our mind of how life is gonna go. Like there's just at certain points in your life, if you don't hit these tick marks, like you feel like a failure. Then what she started to do is she said, well, this is how life really happens. You're born, right? And then you're a child, and then she started like, and then this happens, and then you lose a parent, and then this happens, and then you go through this, and then like you feel like you take 5 steps back, and then you go for it. And then she just started drawing all of these like crazy circles and lines, and then she said, then you die, and I was like, that's how I feel. Like the crazy, and she's like, the thing is, life is not linear.
We keep taking steps in growth, but like everything, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I think success is a measurement we use for each other, not for ourselves. Because we want to look successful. That's what logo is on your car, how many stories is your house, or how many bedrooms or bathrooms, etc. How expensive are your paintings? It's a numbers game. We're all going to die. Everybody who was alive in the 1700s, are they successful now? They're all dead. We'll all be dead.
A lot of the times we dwell in the past, we dwell in the future, and we get so engulfed by the idea of what could have been or what should be that we don't live in the present.
Find yourself first. Don't be so quick to grab hold of external things that can be taken away from you in one moment to the next.
Success is just like I described earlier, the idea of nirvana. It's a momentary experience because if you're 21 and your goal in life is to make $1 million, and you wrote an app and 3 weeks later, Instapoop is the biggest app and you're a millionaire, you've succeeded. But does that mean the rest of your life is success? Or that's a momentary, that success is tied to this? Because after you succeed this time, now what is your journey? Success is like sex in that it's a goal. It's like a drug. I need to get to this point. I will be high if I get here.
In my early 20s, I used to think if I could only get this one thing, I will be so fulfilled. But I found out early on that wasn't the case.
I think success is whatever the creator made that piece, that masterpiece for, and it actually accomplishes that as success.
For me, it comes back to joy. And when I say joy, I don't mean seeking pleasure. I mean it as in harmoniously living life with nature and other humans, and understanding you're just a grain of sand on the beach of life, and that we're all grains of sand, and we all can be greater together than individual. Now, if you're in a spiritual sense, it's the same thing, but we won't use the term God, we'll use energy, etc. But it's the same sort of idea.
I say find Jesus because that's what helped me, that's what changed me, transformed me.
The major things that flipped me from depressed, sad, blah, 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 to I seek joy, I seek love, I seek forgiveness. That is the part that I say I'm thrilled I was able to find.
I was just letting go of like the things that held on to me for so many years. Unforgiveness, anger.
We can evolve as humans, and you can root yourself in identity, but there's always ever-changing factors in life.
I'm still learning and healing. It's not like I've achieved this, success. It's the journey.
And I'm still going through the process. If I was to sit here and say, oh, I made it, like, I'll be lying to anybody. I'm still going through the process, but I'm definitely not where I was. And I thank God for that, like, for real, because I was going through it for a long time, yeah.
I'm not asking you to get me. I'm asking you to understand that I am going through the human experience, and so are you.